After my daughter's shocking words, I discovered life-changing lessons by blocking her cards. The warm summer evening air lingered around John's suburban home, where the scent of freshly mowed lawns mingled with the sweet promise of barbecue. Life in a picturesque neighborhood was supposed to be a dream, yet on that fateful night, everything came crashing down. Emily, his spirited teenage daughter, burst into the living room. Her face was flushed, her eyes blazing with a mixture of anger and hurt. "You're holding me back from living my life," she shouted, as if her words were daggers piercing straight through John's heart. As the echo of her accusation hung in the air, John felt his chest tighten. He had poured his soul into building a life for them after years of hard work in the family-owned hardware store. Every nail and hammer he sold was with Emily and Alex in mind. The weight of sacrifice clung to him as he replayed her words, desperately searching for a way to reach her, to make her see the truth behind his choices. In a frustrated moment, overwhelmed by the rising tide of emotions, John lashed out. He blocked Emily's credit cards. She needed to learn the value of hard work, just like he did from his own father, a stoic veteran who never complained. With the flick of the finger, he thought he was instilling wisdom, but in reality, he had built another wall between them. Days rolled into weeks, each one more agonizing than the last. John sat at the dinner table, feeling the emptiness between him and Emily, simmering in unspoken resentment. He recognized her longing for independence, but it terrified him. All he could see was her inclination towards what he deemed instant gratification. Memories of his father's grueling work ethic felt like a shackle binding them further apart. Though he wanted to bridge the generational gap, his heart ached daily from the chasm created by misunderstanding. In search of clarity, John began attending community meetings where local parents shared their ups and downs. Heartfelt stories of resilience wove a tapestry of shared experience, leaving John's mind swirling with inspiration. With each tale, he felt the script of his own life gently flipping. As parents spoke of their children's struggles and dreams, John's world expanded. He began to see Emily's perspective, the pressure, the noise, and how her generation sought something different in a world ready to swallow them whole. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Finally, he worked up the nerve to invite Emily to dinner. As they sat in front of steaming plates filled with her favorite pasta, the air between them crackled with tension. Heart racing, John grabbed the moment, pouring out his soul. He sought not just to voice his fears but to hear Emily's. She spoke candidly about feeling insignificant. The weight of the words settled in the air, each one a thread pulling at John's heartstrings, revealing layers of hurt neither of them had fully acknowledged. Then with a fierce intensity, Emily stated, "You don't even see how much my life has changed." John felt the gust of air leave his lungs. The table sat between them, an unyielding barrier as he struggled to find words that could bridge the divide. Would this dinner be the turning point for understanding, or a cruel reminder of the chasm between their worlds? As John sat at the table, the silence stretched like an eternity, heavy with unspoken words and unsteady breaths. Emily's eyes, so fierce moments before, softened slightly, as if she was searching for something in her father's face. He could feel the tightening in his chest, the urge to apologize rushing through him like a wild river. But something held him back. "Dad," she started, her voice trembling a bit. "You don't understand. I'm not the same girl I was last year. I want to grow, to make mistakes and learn from them. You're not letting me." The ache in John's heart deepened. He had always envisioned himself protecting her from the harsh realities of life. But had he become the very thing he sought to shield her from? A thought struck him. Perhaps this wasn't just about money or freedom, it was about trust. "What do you want from me, Em?" His voice wobbled, laden with uncertainty. Emily shifted in her seat, her shoulders drooping slightly as she considered his question. "I want you to trust me, trust that I can learn. Even when I mess up. It's okay if I fail. That's how I'll find my way." John studied her face, a mix of determination and vulnerability. She was right in front of him, a young adult asserting herself in ways he never prepared for. He realized he had been seeing her as a child when she was ready for more. "I'm trying," he whispered. The honesty was raw, a small surrender to the battle that raged within him. "I just want what's best for you." "I know," Emily replied softly, "but what's best for me might not always look the way you think it should." The words hovered in the air, marinating in a shared silence. After an eternity, John felt a tremor of hope. If he could just muster the courage to meet her halfway. "What if we tried a different approach?" he proposed, gathering his thoughts. "Let us set some boundaries together. I want to help you learn but also give you some space." Emily's expression shifted. It was a look of tentative consideration, like the sun peeking out from behind gray clouds. "So you'll trust me then? Like really trust me?" "Yeah. But it's gonna take time," he admitted, the weight of his own fears hanging in the balance. "And you'll have to show me you can handle it too." A glimmer of excitement sparked in Emily's eyes. "That sounds fair." For the first time in what felt like ages, they were connected, both willing to engage in the delicate dance of trust. There would still be bumps, and they both knew it, but a path had opened between them. John took a breath, relieved to feel the ache in his chest easing just a fraction. "Okay, let us start with something small," he said, the corner of his mouth twitching up. "How about we work on your budget together since you're wanting to handle your expenses?" A genuine smile broke on Emily's face, illuminating the room with possibility. "Deal." As laughter bubbled between them, John felt lighter, as though a burden had been lifted. But just as quickly, uncertainty crawled back into his mind. Had he opened the floodgates to deeper issues? Later that night, while John lay in bed, sleep eluded him. As he stared at the ceiling, he couldn't shake the nagging feeling that this agreement might lead them into uncharted territory. Would he be prepared for everything that would come next, the challenges he had avoided by controlling the situation? The night stretched on, filled with restless thought. This was just the beginning of a new chapter. His heart raced at the thought, had he truly stepped onto a path toward understanding, or had he merely scratched the surface of much larger issues? Tomorrow offered no guarantees. But for the first time in a while, John felt a flicker of excitement. What if tomorrow brought revelations beyond his understanding? As he turned over, the darkness enveloped him, leaving only questions lingering in the air like whispered secrets. The sun pierced through the curtains the next morning, casting a warm glow over the kitchen. John shuffled in, still wrestling with the events of the previous night. He poured a cup of coffee, savoring the familiar aroma, hoping it would shake off the premonition that hovered over him. As he sat at the table, now a symbol of newfound possibility, he thought about Emily. Her excitement from the night before felt like a distant memory amidst the swell of his anxieties. Would she actually follow through with her budget? Would he be able to guide her without slipping back into the controlling patterns he was so accustomed to? The stakes felt high. It was a normal enough Friday, but everything felt charged. He could hear Emily humming a tune in her room, perhaps getting ready for school, and he couldn't help but smile. The sound was cheeky, almost free, a stark contrast to the tense discussions they had earlier. Determined to honor their agreement, he grabbed a notebook and began jotting down ideas for Emily's budget. Basic numbers, expenses, income, nothing fancy. He hoped this would serve not just as a financial plan, but as a stepping stone toward independence for her. When Emily came down, her hair was tied in a messy bun, and a pair of jeans and a t-shirt clung to her frame comfortably. "Morning, Dad," she chirped, a bright smile lighting up her face. "Morning, kiddo," he replied, grinning despite his earlier worries. "I can't believe we're doing this. It feels so adult," she said, plopping down at the table and eyeing the notebook filled with numbers and sketches. John laughed lightly, feeling the weight of seriousness drift away for just a moment. "I guess it is, huh? Ready to dive in?" "Absolutely." She leaned closer, her eyes sparkled with determination. As they dove into the spreadsheet, energy shifted in the room. He was amazed at how focused she was. They discussed expenses, allowances, and savings. John could feel the familiar anxiety ease a little with each productive minute. "Okay, let us see what your income looks like," he said, a genuine sense of pride swelling in his chest. He was finally assisting her in a way he hoped would be beneficial. As she started listing her various odd jobs and the hours she dedicated to each, John found himself stunned at how industrious she truly was. She wasn't the child he remembered from a few years back. She was evolving. An important realization dawned on him. He had to adjust not just to her new independence but embrace it, nourish it. Wow, you're really working hard. He felt admiration alongside the looming uncertainty in his heart. Thanks, Dad. But there's one thing I'm really worried about. Her voice trailed off, the spark dimming. What is it? His tone shifted in an instant. Ready to catch any of her insecurities, she hesitated, fidgeting with her fingers. It's just, what if I mess up? What if I can't manage my money well? I mean, you always talked about saving and, well, I've never had to worry about it too much. Every father instinct kicked in. It's okay to mess up, Em. That's how we all learn. Just think of it as a lesson. Besides, if you find yourself in a bind, I'm here to help. She nodded, absorbing his words, but John could see the concern still lingering in her eyes. It made him want to pull out every life lesson he had ever learned, just to ease her fears. Instead, he focused on the positives, keeping the tone light. Once they wrapped up for the day, John couldn't shake Emily's worry from his mind. Could she handle the freedom he'd promised? Would he be able to guide her when the time came without stepping back into his old patterns? As he glanced at Emily, now immersed in her phone, the lightness of the morning faded into a bittersweet tension. It felt like the calm before a storm. He knew that trust would be put to the test soon. That evening, when the sky turned a deep orange and the world outside quieted down, Emily's phone buzzed. She looked at it and instantly froze, her face draining of color. What's wrong? John asked, his heart racing. I think I accidentally blocked my card. Her voice trembled slightly, filled with panic. John's gut churned as he looked at her. Trust had held a different meaning before. But how would it hold up now with unexpected challenges ahead? John felt his heart race as he absorbed Emily's words. The room, once filled with excitement over budgeting and independence, now felt stifling. It was a small mistake, but the weight of it pressed heavily on him. It was more than just a blocked card. It was a crack in the fragile trust they were building. Okay, let us take a deep breath, he said, trying to remain calm. How did this happen? Emily's fingers fidgeted nervously as she explained. I was trying to check my balance, but I accidentally entered my password wrong. All those times I told you I didn't care about money. I guess I didn't realize how important it really is until now. Her voice cracked slightly, and John saw a mix of vulnerability and fear in her blue eyes. It was like looking into a mirror of his own uncertainties. It's okay, he reassured her, his voice soothing. Mistakes happen. This is how we figure things out. With every word he spoke, he felt the grip of his past tightening around him. Was he guiding her? Or was he echoing the same controlling tone that had marred their relationship before? He desperately wanted to comfort her without stifling her growth. How long until I can use my card again? She asked, her face clouded with concern. Let us see, he replied, pulling out his phone to log into their bank. Most times you can unlock it online, or with a call to customer service. Do you want to try? She nodded, sitting up straighter. The panic began to fade from her features, replaced by determination. He was proud of her. Despite her fears, she was ready to tackle this head-on. Together, they navigated the online banking app, but it was a dead end. All right, let us call them, John said cheerfully, trying to keep the atmosphere light. While waiting for a representative, Emily stared at her screen. Worries etched into her youthful face. Do you really think it's fine? That I won't just ruin this whole budgeting thing? Emily, you are not going to ruin anything. You're learning, he replied as he felt their roles shift. It wasn't just him teaching. She was teaching him too, about independence and resilience. When the bank representative finally answered, the tension in the room began to dissolve. John peppered the agent with questions while Emily listened intently. Slowly but surely, she began to grasp the process of banking, feeling less like a child overwhelmed by adult decisions and more like an apprentice ready to stand on her own. Finally, the call wrapped up with a promise that her card could be restored. Emily's face lit up as relief swept over her. See, it wasn't that bad. Exactly. You faced it, you problem-solved, and you didn't panic, he beamed. That's what budgeting and being an adult are all about. But as the joy rushed through the room, John couldn't help but feel a new thread of anxiety weave its way back into his mind. Was this a mere bump in a bigger road ahead? Was their new relationship sturdy enough to weather what lay before them? Dad, thanks for being here, Emily said, a sincerity in her tone that tugged at his heart. Always. Just remember that everyone has bumps along the road, he replied, pulling her into a side hug. But deep down, he was wrestling with the nagging concern that this was only the beginning of their financial education, and that freedom often came with its own price tags. As they sat there, the warm glow of the evening lighting their path, Emily's phone buzzed again. This time she didn't freeze. Instead, she looked at it, her expression shifting to one of surprise and dread. Oh no, it's my friends. They want to go out tonight, and I don't have any money left. John's heart sank, knowing another lesson was knocking at their door. How would they handle this? How would Emily cope without turning back to him for guidance? Looks like we have some more talking to do, he said quietly, watching apprehension wash over her face. Would this night challenge everything they had built? Would Emily feel overwhelmed again, or would she rise to the occasion? John's mind raced as he watched Emily's face shift from surprise to distress. She dropped her phone onto the couch as if it burned her fingers. I can't believe this. It's like I can't catch a break. He felt a pang of empathy. He remembered his own youthful nights out, filled with laughter and friendships. But he also remembered the feeling of being unprepared, grasping for independence while teetering on the edge of uncertainty. It's okay, John said, keeping his voice steady. Let us break it down together. You're learning how to budget. This is part of it. Her eyes darted back to him, filled with a mixture of frustration and hopelessness. But Dad, I really wanted to go. My friends are counting on me, and I look like I can't handle anything. John felt the weight of her disappointment. He knew what it felt like to think everyone was watching, waiting for you to succeed or fail. You know, sometimes it's not about money. It's about choices, he said gently. What do you mean? She asked, her brow furrowed as she leaned in closer, absorbing his words. Going out is fun, but it's also important to know when to say no for your own good. He paused for a moment, letting that sink in. What if you could suggest a different plan, something fun but within your budget? You could invite them over for a movie night or a potluck instead. Emily sighed, her shoulders dropping slightly. I guess I could, but they might think I'm cheap. He chuckled lightly, hoping to ease her tension. Trust me. Real friends will appreciate the effort you put into making things work. It's about spending time together more than how much money you fork out. She blinked at him, the initial storm in her eyes beginning to settle. I never thought of it that way. Think of it as a test, John added. A way to show you can be creative, resourceful, and still enjoy life while managing your finances. Emily drew in a breath, her resolve slowly returning. Okay, I'll text them and see if they're interested in a movie night. But what if they just say no? Then at least you tried, he replied, pulling her into a comforting side hug again. You've shown you can face challenges and adapt. That's what matters. As she pulled back, John could see a spark of determination lighting her eyes. She picked up her phone and began to type. He watched quietly, filled with pride. The girl who had doubted her abilities was growing right before him. But deep down, he couldn't shake a nagging feeling in his gut. Would this decision be the turning point for her? Would she be able to set aside peer pressure for her financial well-being? A few moments passed and then her phone buzzed again. Emily scanned the response, her face shifting from anticipation to uncertainty. They want to go out anyway, she said slowly, disappointment creeping back in. What should I do now? John felt like they were at another crossroads. Well, it's your decision, he said carefully. Do you want to go, even if it means breaking your budget? Or do you want to stick to what you believe in? Her lips pressed into a thin line, and he could sense the weight of the choice pressing on her heart. Would she adhere to the lessons they had been working so hard to instill? Would she choose the path of independence or allow herself to be swept up in the moment? As he waited for her answer, the tension crackled in the air, coiling tightly around both their hopes. Would this moment cement her growth? Or would it lead her back into uncertainty? Would she rise to the occasion, or would fear pull her under? In that suspended moment, the outcome of their journey hung precariously in the balance. Emily's thumb hovered above her screen, her brow furrowed deeper as if she were carving her frustration in her skin. She blinked slowly, the harsh light from her phone illuminating the turmoil in her eyes. I don't want to disappoint them, but I also no way can afford this. John observed her with a mixture of pride and anxiety. Every heartbeat echoed the weight of the decision resting on Emily's shoulders. He remembered feeling this way, standing at a similar crossroad, trying to navigate the expectations of friends and the reality of his own limits. "Emily," he said softly, his voice weaving through the electric tension in the room. "Think about how it'll feel to take control of your choices. It's not easy, but it's where growth happens." She bit her lip, framing the answer in her mind, weighing it against the chatter of her friends. The laughter, the excitement, all of it pulled at her heartstrings. Yet, there was also something profoundly liberating about stepping back and standing firm in her principles. "I don't know if I'm ready to let them down," Emily murmured, the weight of her friends' expectations almost palpable. "What if they think I'm not fun anymore?" John shifted closer, his gaze steady and unwavering. "You'd be surprised what friends truly value. It's not the location or the price tag. It's about the connections you forge. Show them there's more than one way to have fun." She looked up at him, a flicker of understanding piercing the veil of doubt that clouded her mind. "What if they just call me boring?" His heart ached for her. "Then maybe they're not the friends you thought they were. True friends will stand by you through thick and thin. They're the ones who'll enjoy whatever time you share, whether it's a night out or a cozy film evening." The corners of Emily's mouth turned down as she contemplated, her thoughts racing like a frightened deer. Each passing second felt like an eternity. And just when uncertainty threatened to reclaim her energy, determination flashed in her eyes once more. "Okay," she exhaled shakily, a sudden wave of clarity flooding her soul. "I'll text them back. I'll tell them I'm not going. We could do something else." "Trust in yourself," John encouraged, elated to see her resolve emerge through the fog. "Whatever you decide, listen to your gut. You're strong enough to carve your path." Resolutely, she began typing again, her fingers quickened by a sudden rush of conviction. John saw the change in her demeanor, felt it lift the air around them. Maybe this was the defining moment, and he could only hold his breath as she hit send. The moments dragged as they waited for a reply. Emily glanced around, her eyes flaring with anticipation. "What if they don't take it well? Then you'll know where they stand. But remember, you're taking a stand for yourself first." After a longer pause than he expected, the wooden silence broke. Her phone buzzed and Emily's heart raced as she snatched it up. She scanned the message, and as she read, her expression transformed. "Oh my gosh, they're totally on board. They like the movie night idea." "See?" John beamed at her, relief washing over him. "You took control, Em. You're showing them what you value." A victorious smile spread across her face, a shining beacon of growth. But as she celebrated, John couldn't shake the lingering question. Would this change truly stick? Maybe she started, her voice trailing off. Maybe this could lead to something more. "What do you mean?" John asked, intrigued. "Maybe I can help others who are feeling the same pressure. Like start a group or something." The idea hung in the air, ripe with potential. Suddenly, the room felt charged with possibility, each new horizon edging closer. But for John, it sparked a new concern as well. What would this mean for Emily's friendships? Would taking that step lead to unexpected trials? Emily's mind buzzed with energy, her thoughts racing to shape this new vision. She envisioned support and empowerment blooming around her. "I could create a space where everyone feels safe to be themselves," she mused, her voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid the idea might slip away if spoken too loud. "I like that," John replied, leaning against the wall, his arms crossed but his expression softening. "What would you call it? Something like authentic connections or real talk?" Emily shifted, finding her rhythm. "A place where we can hang out, share our struggles and not feel judged." John smiled. "I can see it already. You leading discussions, inviting people to share their stories. It could create such a strong sense of community. But how do I even start?" Emily leaned back in her chair, the reality of the task ahead sinking in. "Just start small. Maybe even host the first gathering at your place? Keep it casual. Invite a few friends who seem on the same page." The idea felt promising, yet overshadowed by doubt. What if they don't show up? Or what if they think it's a lame idea? Then you'll know. "But you're so passionate about this, Emily. That's already half the battle." His voice took on a comforting fullness, one she needed in that moment. A warmth spread through her chest as she contemplated inviting her closest friends, the ones who shared similar struggles with the pressures of social life, and the desire to fit in. Yet, the thought of rejection still loomed like a shadow. What if they laugh at me? Then they aren't the friends you need, John reassured her, his unwavering gaze convincing her. You're trying to create something meaningful. That's what counts. Emily felt her heart swell with both fear and excitement. Could this truly be a stepping stone for others? Would they appreciate her vision or dismiss it as another failed attempt? She thought of the countless late-night conversations she shared during study sessions, where they all revealed their fears and dreams. What if I do it and it becomes something beautiful? She whispered, her eyes glimmering with possibility. Exactly. Trust your instincts. And remember, growth isn't linear. Some will be on board, others might hesitate, and that's okay. John smiled, a sense of pride radiating from him. I'll write up a little invitation, she decided, her fingers itching to draft the wording. It was a small step but felt monumental. As she jotted down ideas, a lightness filled the room, a buzz of new beginnings swirling around them. But as the excitement pulsed through her, an unsettling thought tugged at her mind. What if, in trying to help others find their voice, she lost her own in the process? Would stepping into this leadership role mean risking more than she was ready for? Emily stopped writing, her heart racing again as a wave of anxiety washed over her. Hey, John nudged, sensing her change in vibe. What's on your mind? She looked up, vulnerability flickering in her eyes. What if I get it all wrong? What if I can't handle it? You'll figure it out. Just like you did when texting your friends. And if you stumble, well, isn't that how we learn? Emily nodded, inhaling the taut energy in the room while processing the truth of his words. With a shaky breath, she returned to her notebook, not yet ready to surrender to doubt. But even as she poured herself into this new journey, a nagging uncertainty lingered. Maybe her decision wouldn't just affect friendships. Perhaps it could unfold layers she never considered, challenging who she thought she was. Okay, I'll do it, she finally declared, steeping herself in newfound clarity, though uncertainty still flitted in and out of her mind. But what she didn't see lurking just beyond the surface was how powerful those first few gatherings could become, and whether her friends those she valued most would be entirely receptive to her new vision, or if the changes ahead would flip her world upside down. The night was quiet, the kind of stillness that wrapped itself around Emily like a warm blanket. Her thoughts, however, were anything but quiet. In the dim light of her room, with papers scattered around her desk, she felt a mixture of excitement and dread. The invitation was half finished, and each word felt more weighty than before. How would she get everyone to come? She stared at the blank page, her thoughts swirling like leaves caught in the wind. A knock at the door pulled her away from her racing mind. It was her brother, Mark, his eyes bright with curiosity. What are you up to? Just trying to write something, she replied, her voice a little strained. Mark stepped inside, eyes darting to the sheets of paper. Something fun? Or are we talking like school project type of serious? Emily took a deep breath, feeling that familiar flutter of nerves. It's more like a gathering. A chance to talk about what we all go through. You know, the things we usually keep inside. His brows rose in surprise. That actually sounds pretty cool. Are you nervous? Terrified? What if no one shows up? Mark shrugged, walking over to the chair next to her desk. Then you just have to be brave, right? Plus, who wouldn't want to come to a night of real talk with you? She couldn't help but smile. He was right. She had her friends, the ones who understood, and even if it took time, they'd likely appreciate her effort. But what if someone shows up and hates it? What if they think I'm trying too hard? Then they just don't get it, he said, waving his hand dismissively. You're doing this because it matters, Em. People see your heart. That's what draws them in. Those words resonated with her, and a small spark of confidence ignited. She placed her pen to paper and wrote, "You are invited to a cozy gathering for sharing and connecting." As she continued to write, a sense of purpose began to swell within her. Wrapping her arms around herself, she actually felt giddy. The possibilities were thrilling. Each sentence she penned became a testament to her courage. Soon, the invitation felt like a doorway to a new world for herself and her friends. Just think, what if this becomes a regular thing? Like a safe space every week? Mark mused, his eyes shining with imagination. Emily nodded, a smile breaking free. What a thought. But What if it doesn't go as I hoped? Life's messy, sis, but that's the beauty of it. You'll learn. We all do. His words hit home. Even if the gathering didn't go perfectly, the lessons would be priceless. After finishing the invitation, she sat back, exhaustion creeping in, but it was a good kind of tired. The fear of what could happen began to fade, replaced by the thrill of what could be. Okay, I'm ready for this, she said quietly, her heart full. But that night as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, self-doubt crept back in. What if all her plans backfired? What if her friends didn't want to share their struggles? What if some sought her out only to tear her down? The waves of uncertainty crashed against her like steady drumbeats. With those nagging fears swirling, sleep found her elusive. As dawn broke, she felt a flicker of determination spark anew. But beneath that flame lay the question that seemed ever present. What if, in trying to help others find their voice, her own ended up lost in the process? The day was dawning brighter than her fears, but would her courage hold? The first gathering was just around the corner, and the stakes were high. Would she be able to lead them through their struggles? Or would she find herself confronting her own demons in ways she never imagined? Emily awoke to the sound of birds chirping outside her window, each note a reminder that a new day had arrived, full of hope and possibility. She stretched her arms overhead, taking a moment to breathe deeply, letting the crisp morning air fill her lungs. Somehow it felt different today. Beneath her anxiety lay an anticipation that made her pulse race. She shuffled into the kitchen where the smell of coffee wafted through the air. Mark was already sitting at the table, scrolling through his phone. He glanced up, offering her a bright smile. Hey superstar. Big day ahead? Yeah, Emily replied, pouring herself a cup. I can't believe it's finally here. As she stirred her coffee, she thought of the invitation she'd sent out, the ripple effect it could create among her friends. Each invite carried the weight of her hope, her fears, even her vulnerabilities. What if these gatherings could foster real connections and help everyone feel less alone? Are you ready for tonight? Mark asked, leaning forward. There was a genuine excitement in his eyes that made her feel more secure about what was coming. Think so. But I keep worrying, what if someone opens up, and then it makes everything awkward? Awkward can be good, he said with a knowing smile. It means people are sharing real feelings. His confidence was infectious. She found her posture straightening. Right. And everyone's bringing something to share? Yeah. You'll have a house full of snacks, drinks, and of course all the deep talks you want to have. Emily chuckled at the playful way he described it. Her heart lightened, and she felt a renewed energy coursing through her veins. The day passed in a blur of activity as she prepared. She decorated the living room with fairy lights and blankets, creating a cozy atmosphere. She arranged seating, envisioning their faces illuminated by soft light, sharing both laughter and confessions. Each detail fueled her resolve to make the gathering safe and welcoming. As evening approached, however, her nerves re-emerged. The what-ifs piled high. What if she jinxed it all with her own fears? The last little whisper of doubt crept in. What if she wasn't the one to help? But then she thought back to Mark's words, and she reminded herself why she was doing this. They all deserved a space where they could be vulnerable, the same space she longed for. With each ringing doorbell, her heart raced faster. Friends arrived, each carrying their own stories and a nervous excitement. The casual chatter soon faded into a tapestry of shared voices, laughter, and a hint of trepidation that settled around them like a warm embrace. As they gathered in a circle, Emily felt the weight of her voice. It was time. She took a deep breath, her heart pounding in her chest, and spoke. Thank you all for coming. I know this is new for some of us, but I really believe we can make something special here together with each passing moment. As she glanced around at her friends' faces, those who admired her for her courage, just as much as she admired them for owning their battles, Emily realized something profound. Perhaps she was the facilitator, but they would all be there for each other, shaping the experience into something greater. Just as she felt the warmth of connection envelop them, a soft voice from the back interrupted. What if we don't know how to open up? What if we can't? As every pair of eyes turned to her, Emily suddenly felt the heaviness of that question sink in. Would they really find a way to share openly, or would silence claim the room? Emily's heart raced again. But she knew this was the moment her voice would guide them. But would her words be enough? First off, it's okay to feel uncertain, Emily replied. her heart racing but courage bubbling to the surface. We can start small. Just share how your day was. Let us get comfortable together. She could feel their hesitance, the taut strings of anxiety plucking in the air. The shadows of doubt hung around, ready to cling to any hesitation. Her friends exchanged glances, and one by one they began to speak. Each voice, though shaky, filled the room with warmth. They began sharing their thoughts and feelings. The stories flowed like a gentle river, and with each confession the atmosphere lightened. Emily felt relief wash over her. They were opening up, just as she had hoped. As laughter and understanding blossomed in unexpected corners, a wave of connection spread through her. Every shared smile was a wordless promise. They were not alone. Emily's spirit soared. She realized it wasn't just about her leadership. It was about their shared vulnerability, transforming them into a community. Can I say something? A friend named Sarah raised her hand, her voice cracking with emotion. I thought this would be awkward, but it's like a huge weight has been lifted. Thank you for bringing us together. Emily felt her heart swell, tears almost pooling in her eyes as she nodded, a smile breaking across her face. The moments continued to unfold, each filled with laughter, tears, and an undeniable depth that stretched them all. Each person revealed pieces of themselves, each vulnerability a thread knitting them closer together. As the evening rolled on, Emily felt a warmth of belonging that she hadn't quite anticipated. They felt safe. They were best friends, united through their struggles and victories. By the end of the night, Emily felt lighter. This is just the beginning, guys, she said, her voice steady. We can do this again. It's more than just a gathering. It's a space for all of us. The excitement in the room was palpable as they buzzed about when they could meet next. Weeks turned into months, and their real talk gatherings transformed their relationships. Each meeting blossomed with laughter and the tender honesty that marked their growth. Emily had discovered something substantial. Not only did she have the power to help others, but they also contributed to her own journey of self-discovery and courage. One evening, as Emily flipped through her notebook filled with ideas, she came across her original invitation. It struck her those tides of fear that had once felt so formidable had dissolved into a foundation of community. Looking around at her friends, she smiled. Thank you for trusting me, for being here together. We've built something beautiful, she said, her voice thick with emotion. As they shared more stories, Emily understood the essence of leadership wasn't about having all the answers. It was about fostering a space where everyone felt valued and heard. Trust grew not just between her and her friends but within themselves. When she finally shared her ideas about budgeting and independence with them, it felt like no longer a lesson from a father to a daughter, but a collaborative dialogue about growth, a cycle of them learning from each other. John saw this transformation with pride, amazed that Emily had become a beacon for her friends, shining bright through their complex journeys. In their embrace of truth and connection, Emily's heart filled with joy. Together they were building a future where each challenge wasn't just met with fear, but with the joyful acceptance of being flawed, human, and deeply connected. Life had shifted. Families grew, minds broadened, and hearts healed. Now standing together, Emily knew they were ready for whatever life threw their way. Hand in hand, stronger than before. So what's next? Let us keep this journey alive. You need to subscribe now to join our growing family. This is the moment to show your support, and to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep inspiring content like this coming your way. Comment below with your thoughts and feelings about this story's ending. What transformations did it spark for you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us keep lifting each other up.